Hi guys, so this video is hopefully going to benefit you in that I'm going over the problems in the slides so you can skip. I don't have it set so you can't skip. You can skip to where it's going over the problem that you are looking at to try to confirm how you did it, to make sure you did it right. So this is for the assignment that was assigned on today, which is January 26th. And I'm just going to go over how to solve these with a standard algorithm. So this is the problem for slide 2. Oh, and you were supposed to pick five to solve. And I wanted you to pick one of those 5 being one of the last 4 slides, which is a 2-digit divisor, just to try it because these are practices, right? So you can skip to the slides that you actually did and in this Ed puzzle, and you can then see how it's solved with a standard algorithm. Okay, so what we do with solving this is we start with just the 9. 5 goes into 9 one time. So remember, we divide first. 5 goes into 9 one time, because 1 times 5 is 5. We're trying to get as close as we can to 9 without going over. 9 minus 5 is 4. We're going to bring down the next number. So we have 6, 46. 5 goes into 46 9 times. 9 times 5 is 45, because that's going to get us closest to 46 without going over. We've got 1 left over. We bring down the 3. So now we got to think about how many times does 5 go into 13? It goes into 13 2 times, because 2 times 5 is 10. We're going to subtract that. We've got 3 left over. Now this is where we don't end with just writing an R and a 3 anymore. We don't just do R3. What we're going to do is we're going to actually put a decimal point in and shoot that decimal point straight up into the quotient. All right. And because of that, we can then have a 0, because we have no tenths. So we're going to just keep it as no tenths. But now we can take that no tenths and we can bring it down. Oops, forgot to put my line there. Into our next piece here. So how many times does 5 go into 30? It goes in exactly 6 times. And we subtract 6 times 5 is 30. And now we have nothing left and we are done. So that's how we get to the quotient of 192 and 6/10 for slide number 2. All right, slide 3 is 2 into 616. So slide 3, we're going to start with how many times does 2 go into 6? Well, it goes in 3 times, because 3 times 2 is exactly 6. We just don't want it to go over. It can be right on it, but it can't go over. I have nothing left. I'm going to bring down my 1. I have to say how many times 2 goes into 1. How many times does 2 go into 1? Don't mix it up. Don't say 1 goes into 2. 2 goes into 1. If you have 1 M&M and 2 people, how many M&Ms can they get? Not a whole number. So we have to say 0, and we put that right above the 1 because we just brought down the 1. So 0 times 2 is 0. We subtract nothing. We still have 1. We bring down our 6. 2 goes into 16 8 times, because 8 times 2 is 16. Oops, I already put my minus sign there. And we have nothing. We don't have to do the ending with the decimal or anything. We finished it as a whole number. So 616 divided by 2 is 308. If you wanted to check your answers on any of these, you could always say 308 times 2 should equal the dividend there. So we got 16. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1, and 2 times 3 is 6. So I came up with 616, so I know that that is correct. Okay, I'm going to switch my orange because my orange just started to die out. Slide 4. Slide 4 is 6 into 5,289. Now we can put the comma in there. The comma doesn't make any difference when we're doing our quotient. If it helps you read that number, you can put the comma in. Just don't confuse the comma with a decimal point. All right, so we're going to start with 6 going into 5. If I have 6 people, remember these are the people. If I have 6 people and I only have 5 M&Ms, can I give them each one? No, I can't. This is the only time where you don't have to put the 0 above it. You can if that makes you feel more comfortable, but you don't have to. So we're going to move over to the 52. 6 goes into 52. The closest we can get without going over, 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 9 is 63. So 6 times 9 goes too far over, so I have to go with the 8. 8 times 6 is 48. I'm going to subtract that. I'm going to start writing a little bit smaller so they fit. I have to borrow. 12 minus 8 is 4. And I'm going to bring down my 8. 6 goes into 48. Oh, well, I just did that one. So it goes in 8 times. So I'm going to subtract 48 because 8 times 6 is 48. I have nothing left, but I do still have a 9 to bring down. So I need to bring down my 9. 6 goes into 9 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. So I'm going to bring down, or I'm going to subtract. I've got 3 left. Now I'm going to put my decimal in and pop it up into my answer and put a 0 in the 10th place and bring down my 0. 6 goes into 30 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30, so I have nothing left. So 5,289 divided by 6 is 881 and 5/10. Okay, slide 5. We have 8 people and 3 M&Ms. So slide 5, we have 8 people and 3 M&Ms. We can't do that. Now you can put a 0 here if you want and go ahead and do the 8 times 0 is 0 and have the 3 left over. Sorry, 3 minus 0 is 3. That's what I meant to say. And then bring down your 2. Or when it's the first time, and this is the only time you can do this, when it's the first time, the first move that you're making, you can just move it over. 8 times what gets us closest to 32 without going over? So 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4. 8 times 4 is 32. So I'm going to go ahead and just take away 32 because 4 times 8 is 32 and I've got 0 left over. And I'm going to bring down my 5. 8 goes into 5. This is where we have to say, because we've already started the numbers, we have to actually put it in there. 8 goes into 5 0 times. 8 times 0 is 0. So we have 5 left over. We bring down our 9. 8 goes into 59. Well, 8 times 6 is 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 7 is 56. That's going to get me closest. So we got 7 times 8 is 56. We subtract. We have 3 left over. We're going to put our decimal in. Decimal shoots straight up into the quotient. And we're going to bring down a 0. 8 goes into 30. It goes in 3 times for 24 because 3 times 8 is 24. Subtract. I've got 6 left over. I have to bring down another 0. 8 goes into 60 7 times because it's going to be 56. And we've got 60 minus 56 is 4. We have another 0 we can bring down. 8 goes into 40. 8 goes into 40 a total of 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40. And I end up with 0. And now I can be done. Okay. This was a tough one because it went 3 decimals long. Slide 6. Slide 6 is 7 into 2,296. All right. So 2,296 divided by 7. I'm going to go ahead and choose a different color. No, I don't. I'm I didn't pull out a different color. Okay, so I'm going to look at just my first number. I've got my little Post-it note right here. Does 7 go into 2? No, it doesn't. So I'm just going to go ahead and scooch it over. 7 goes into 22 without going over 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. So we're going to do 3 times 7 is 21 and subtract that. I have 1 left. I'm going to bring down my 9. Still don't have to worry about that 6. 7 goes into 19 2 times. 2 times 7 is 14. Remember, we want to get as close to the number as possible without going over. Okay, so 19 minus 14 is 5. Now we bring down our 6. 7 goes into 56. 8 times exactly, because 8 times 7 is 56. I subtract that. I have nothing left, and I'm done. I don't have to do any decimals because I'm already at 0. Okay. Slide 7. So I'm on slide 7 now. Slide 7. Big number. Now we could, to be able to read this number better, we can put our comma in, but it really doesn't matter if we have the comma in here. And don't confuse the comma with the decimal, okay? Make sure that you don't just think of this as, oh, it's a comma, I should have to bring that up. No, we only do that with a decimal. Okay, we're going to start with 9 goes into 3. 9 doesn't go into 3, so we have to move it over. 9 goes into 33. Let's see, 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 4 is 36. So 9 times 4 goes over. So I'm going to go with 9 times 3, which is 27. Subtract that. I do have to borrow. So 13 minus 7 is 6. And I'm going to bring down my 2, but I don't need my 0 and my 1 yet. 9 goes into 62. So 9 goes into 62. 9 times 7 is 63. That's too high. So I have to go with 9 times 6. 9 times 6 is 54. I'm going to subtract that. I have to borrow. We have, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 left over. And I'm going to bring down my 0. 9 goes into 80. Sorry, this keeps getting blurry. 9 goes into 80. Well, 9 times 9 is 81. That goes over just 1 too many. So I have to go with 9 times 8, which is 72. I have 8 left over. I bring down the 1. 9 goes into 81. 9 times for exactly 81. I subtract. I've got 0. I don't have to do the decimal because I'm already at 0. So that was slide 7. 33,201 divided by 9 is 3,689. Okay, got a couple more slides to go. Slide 8. Slide 8. All right, slide 8 is where we start with the 2-digit divisors. Okay, I'm asking that you tried one of these if you could. So it's the same process. It's just that now we have to deal with 12s, like 12 times 1, 12 times 2, 12 times 3. It's the same thing otherwise. 12 goes into 2. How many times does 12, remember this means like 12 people, and I have 2 M&Ms. I can't do it. I have to actually move over one more. 12 goes into 25. 12 times what gets us close to 25? Well, 12 times 2 gets us really close because 12 times 2 is 24. I'm going to subtract that. I have 1 left. I'm going to bring down my 6. How many times does 12 go into 16? 1. 1 time, because 12 times 1 is 12. I'm going to subtract that. I have 4 left. I'm going to bring down my 5. How many times does 4 go into 45? Sorry, not 4. 12 go into 45. Well, 12 times 3 is 36, and 12 times 4 is 48. So 12 times 4 goes over. I have to go with the 3. 12 times 3 is 36. I am going to have to borrow. I've got 9 left over. Now I have to put my decimal in and bring down a 0. And 12 goes into 90. Well, 12 times 8 is 96. 12 times 7, that goes over. So 12 times 7 is 84. I'm going to have to do this real quick. Get rid of that. Okay, so 12 times 7 is 84. I subtract that. I've got 6 left. I bring down another 0. 12 goes into 60 5 times, exactly. 5 times 6, it's 5 times 12 is 60. Subtract that, I've got 0 left. So I am done. Okay, so that was slide 8. Slide 9 uses 15s. So we've got the same kind of concept where we are just looking at our 15s. And I'm going to go ahead and write my 15s on the side. So 15 times 1 is 15, then 30, then 45, then 60, then 75, then, oh my gosh, then 90, then 105, then 120, then 135. This is times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8, and times 9. Okay, so I'm going to write those on the side just so that I can get them faster. So 15 doesn't go into 9, so we're going to move it over. 15 goes into 90 exactly 6 times. 6 times 15 is 90. I've got nothing left over. I'm going to bring only the 8 down. 15 goes into 8. Well, 15 times 1 is 15, and that goes over, so it doesn't go in at all. 0 times 15 is 0. I still have 8, and now I'm going to bring down my 4. 15 goes into 84. Which one of these gets closest to 84 without going over? Well, 90 goes over, so 75 is the closest without going over. So I'm going to do 5. 5 times 15 is 75. If you know your 15s, you don't have to do this. I'm just not as quick with my 15s, so I just wanted to make it a little bit easier on that. So we've got 9 left over, and now we're going to put our decimal in. 15 goes into 90 exactly 6 times. 6 times 15 is 90. We subtract, and we have 0 left. Okay, so there's slide 9. Slide 10 goes back to 12s. And again, same thing. If you want to write your 12s on the side, that's totally fine. You can totally do that. I know my 12 is a little bit better than my 15s, oddly enough. 12 goes into 37. Let's see, 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 3 is 36. That is so close to 37, so it's got to be 12 times 3. 12 times 3 is 36. I didn't need my 8 quite yet. I've got 1 left over, and I bring down my 8. 12 goes into 18 one time. 1 times 12 is 12. And I've got 6 left over. We're not going to end with R. We're going to end with a decimal. And 378 is the same value as 378 and no tenths, because there's no tenths. But we can use that 0 tenths here. 12 goes into 60. Oops, I forgot to bring my decimal straight up. 12 goes into 60 5 times. 5 times 12 is 60. And we have 0. We're done. Okay, last one. So slide 10, slide 11. Again, it's with the 15s, and I'm going to, if this is the only one you did, that's fine, but I'm going to have my 15s on the side here. So 15 times 1 is 15, 15 times 2 is 30, and I did all my 15s so that I can do this a little bit faster in my head. If I only have one M&M, can I give everybody, every 15 person an M&M? No. So I'm going to move over. I have 10 M&Ms. Can I give them each an M&M? No, I still can't. So I have to move it over again for 108. Now, if I have 108 M&Ms, I can certainly give everybody at least one. In fact, I'm going to look at my cheat sheet here. Which of these numbers comes closest to 108 without going over? Well, 105 does. So I can multiply 15 by 7 and give away 105 of them. Oh, totally different color. 7 times 15 is 105. And that leaves me with 3 left. I'm going to bring down my 8. 15 goes into 38. The closest without going over is 2 times. 15 times 2 is 30. I have 8 left. I bring down my 7. 15 goes into 87. See, the closest I can get without going over is 75, and that's times 5. So 15 times 5 is 75. I subtract that. I do not have to borrow, but I do have 12. Is that right? Yep, 12 left over. Now I put my decimal in and I bring my decimal straight up. I shoot it straight up into the quotient and I bring down this 0. And I'm going to use my cheat sheet here. I'm seeing that 120 exactly is on there. So I can do 15 times 8. 8 times 15 is exactly 120. I subtract it and I got 0 left over and I'm done. So I'm going to push that up just a little bit so you can see it. That's slide 11. All right, that is it. That's how you solve each of those problems.